Hello there, Sarah from 17 once again. This is my South Park The Fractured Butthole Mastermind walkthrough. Let's get right into it, shall we? This is going to be live, so the commentary will not be posted. It'll be happening as it's happening. Let's do this. So to make the game a little bit more interesting, folks, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be trying not to use any healing items, and I'm going to be trying not to do any reviving items. If we hit a brick wall and I need to do them, there's potential that I can break those challenges, but for the most, I think we'll be okay. Okay, so I'm not going to go nuts with the creator character because I'm just going to kind of emulate the character I made before. My character is going to be a little bit like Clubber Lang from Rocky 3. I didn't use the mohawk last time because I don't think it really suits it. You know, that doesn't really look enough like it for me. So I'm just going to go with the kind of balding look. The Bruce Willis hair is going to be one that I'm going to choose. I'm going to be picking a black character because the achievement and the trophy is indeed to beat the game on Mastermind difficulty as a black character. Which is kind of obviously a joke and everything. We'll keep it as it is. I'm not going to mess about here, guys. We're just going to get into it. And this doesn't actually change the difficulty as much as it says, you know, select your difficulty. So make sure that you're black. Yep, we're black. And then we go to create. So one thing that I've noticed between this game and the Stick of Truth... Oh, we're doing the shitting. So we need to focus the power. So for this minigame, you want to find the sweet spot on both analogs. And then you want to press the right trigger. And then it's going to make you do some tilting goodness. So nice and simple. Pinch it off. Get rid of that. And that's our first turd. I don't know if you need to do the turd to do anything in the game. I'm not entirely sure how the ranking system and the followers affect your strength. This is going to be minimalist as hell. So I guess we're going to find out together how that works. Because I took my time the first time through the game, obviously. I wanted to enjoy it and have fun. I checked everywhere. But for the purpose of this walkthrough, I'm going to be skipping doing that. But I want to open the chest in my bedroom because it seems to give you a lot of stuff. So we'll do the draw and then we'll check what's in here. I didn't get anything? Oh, interesting. Wow. Well, I guess that shows us, right? But on the Stick of Truth, the cutscene resolution is much lower than the actual game, so the game looks better than the cutscenes. In this game, there's no difference between fidelity, so it makes it look a lot better. But this is our introduction to the combat. I want to turn the subtitles off. I apologise for people who like subtitles. They bother me to death. I can't stand reading something faster than people say it. It just winds me up. Let's smack this for some scrap. Can we open this? We cannot now. Right. So, there is no sprint on this game, unlike the first game. The first game you could sprint. This one you seemingly can. Let's start with a good slap to get combat advantage. And then let's proceed to introduce the combat. So, in this game you can now move. So we can move into position and do all kinds of fun stuff with that. Or we can just press X for the power. Oh, it wants me to move anyway. This power has a knockback feature on it, hence why it's knocking him into the other guy. And then there you go. He does the simple combo that some of the 6th graders are going to use on us later on. Nice and simple, right? My build is going to focus on status effects, because status effects are incredibly powerful, and they're going to enable me to do some pretty fun stuff, and hopefully have a big advantage, but we'll see how well that goes, because I'm not going to be anywhere near as maximised as I was on my first playthrough, because I explored the entire town, I went everywhere, I did all the side quests, so I'm wondering how effective I can be with a less optimum might. So I guess we'll find out together. But can I actually do something for this? It's talking about combat. It's telling you about the... All of this information is great to know. You're going to need to know it. It's going to really help. Oh, and they're showing me the fart, so... Oh, interesting. The fart is not as good as the one that I'm going to get. But there you go. It also doesn't gross them out. Gross out is the strategic damage we're going to be going for the most. It is the single strongest status effect in the game, in my opinion. So it's definitely something worth partaking in, as much as this is a battle that we can't really lose. So the first thing you'll notice about the combat, which I'm not the biggest fan of, is for whatever reason, they've made the timing on attacking to get criticals and on defending to get defensive bonuses, they've made it way easier. And I don't think that is anything that should ever exist, ever. I feel like the combat in this game is better in every single way, except for that. And it's such a shame, because the first game nailed it perfectly. It was timing based, and the timing was strict. It wasn't the hardest thing in the world, but it was enough to keep you motivated to play and to get better. Whereas this game doesn't have that. This game is more about the power of mobility and the power of understanding your maneuvers and just the whole extra dynamics that the game offers us. So, here is the first boss fight. It's against the dragon. And once again, we're being kind of led down the garden path with this. It's going to teach us how to do things. But here comes the bow. No option to defend there. And then we get to move forward and we can proceed to fart that guy over there if we want to. Fart both these guys, get rid of both of them. Sounds like a good idea, right? So there's some knockback damage on the dragon. And we've got the two flackies dead, as I call them. So this right now means that that's telegraphing damage in that area. If we're in that area on the next turn, we're going to be in trouble because it's going to do something very damaging. This is something that's going to come into play later on, and it's going to make the combat really interesting in my opinion. And now we can get in there and do B. Oh, and a car comes. So this is kind of funny the first time it happens. It happens a lot. And as much as I like the idea of it, and it is silly, I don't really understand it too much. It's a running gag that affects gameplay. So it'd be nice if you could skip it, but get used to that happening. It happens quite a lot. And then this should kill the boss because it's all just tutorial. And there's a fight later on where we're going to fight ourselves. And we're going to be facing that moveset you just saw me use. And that hammer kills all of my people in one touch. Oh, speaking of, we need to change the difficulty from Heroic to Mastermind. Because for whatever reason it doesn't start immediately on Mastermind. But you don't have to worry about that. It was going to ask us later on. It doesn't affect the tutorial. The tutorial is the same. But on Mastermind, the difference between the other difficulties is if you play on, I think, normal, the enemies are generally weaker than you. If you play on Heroic, the enemies are generally the same level as you. And if you play on Mastermind, regardless of your might, the enemies are generally stronger than you. So you are going to constantly have a challenge regardless of what happens. And it proves to be a challenge, especially when you're not reviving and when you're not using the items to heal. I will be using the antidotes that give me regeneration, but that's not technically healing. And I will also be using the Moses summon, because he will be my only source of multi-heal should I need it. And that's a summon, that's not technically an item, so that doesn't break the rules of what I'm trying to do. So, slap a few people. Can we slap the bin? We can slap the bin. No need to talk to any of these guys. Can we selfie yet? We cannot selfie yet. Let's go into Cooper Keep. And let's see what's in here. Nothing to interact with. I know you can shoot the rope, but I don't have the ability to do that just yet, so let's go back into the house. See what Cartman has to say.
Oh,
slap his mum's ass.
The boys are down in their little basement playing.
I can't slap her ass? There we go.
Eric's spending so much time playing superheroes, I'm afraid he's not eating.
So we're going to need a password now to get into the room, and even if you know it, it doesn't let you in, I believe, because it tells you that you're cheating, because it wants you to follow the scripting of the game. So even if I can get in and I'm mistaken by what I've just said, we're going to go and get the password anyway, because it's not difficult to find. I believe it's in Cartman's scrapbook, just behind this lamp over here. So if you look in his journal, flick through his journal, and it's going to say something like, fuck my mum. Yeah, there you go, fuck you, mum. Pretty simple. And then once we've got that, we can proceed. So what's in the toy box? We get some scrap, various other things. A lot of these doors in there that lead to the cupboards, or the closets, a lot of them have... you can't really interact with much of it. I'm going to go in Cartman's mum's room. See what we can get. Crack Stallion butt plug, personal lubricant. Makes perfect sense, right?
Yes,
Right,
officer,
so...
somebody appears to have put lava in front of my door.
Here we go.
Well, no, it's not hot. But my son told me I will burn to death if I
There
try
we
and
go.
cross it.
And this is going to trigger picking our class, I believe. So if we come down here...
Excuse me.
Oh, I have to talk to Cartman on the right-hand side, right? Yeah, there we go. So
You
Cartman's
go
going to... Now it wants me to... Oh, it wants us to find the thing. Took me a while to find this when I was first playing. Because I think you have to examine it before it lets you pick it up. There you go. Or maybe you don't have to. But that's what we need to pick up.
Well, that took long enough.
And he scolds you either way.
Jesus Christ.
There's quite a lot of scolding that goes on in this game, especially if you take too long.
You have to have a superhero persona. So the first thing we need to fill out on your character sheet is your class.
So...
Since you're a newbie, you can only choose between 3 for now. Speedster.
So I really like Brutalist because I think it has a really effective ultimate, and I like that it has really good power, and it also has a fart move to do gross out. But instead, I'm going to start with Blaster. The reason for this is because we can use the Flame, which has good range, and it also causes fire. And with the ultimate, we can cause both fire and gross out, and we're going to be using Clyde to cause gross out anyway. So it's going to be a combination. We also have a move there, that third one, with the hand that's green. That has a triple knockback effect. So this is the one I'm going to be starting with. It's got a mixture of everything we could possibly need for how I'm going to play the game. And now we have to relive our past and our childhood, which I'm going to get right. Oh, you've got to go. You've got to do what he says. Yeah.
You swore you could hear your mother calling for help.
Yep. She most certainly is calling something. Come on, doll. Let me through.
Out in the hallway, you saw 2 intruders in front of your parents' door.
Yep, and I can't skip this.
You knew you had the power to stop them, so for the first time, you called upon your
So this is going to give us a tutorial on exactly what each of our moves does. And if you pick any of the classes, this will be slightly different.
You wasted no time delivering 6 burns into the villains before you.
But here is the long-range bread and butter that we're going to be using. So you'll notice it hits him at 3 squares, or 2 squares in front of you, and it's going to apply fire. And when you do it 3 times like that. 3 taps of the A button. The timing on that is so loose, it's hard to miss. The only times you'll miss it is on stupid occasions when you do it a little bit too early, even though it wants you to do it super early. And then he's going to get all close. There's our defensive move, which I absolutely despise how lazy the defending in this game is. There's no real reward for skill. It's literally, how did you not press A when you got hit? I have no idea why they changed it. And then now we're going to use the knockback move. So, the knockback is a tap one, so tap it to fill it. And there you go. And then we're probably going to use the ultimate now and shit on him.
Hey, you can't push us around like that.
So here he goes. It'd be nice if the moment it touched you, if you pressed A, it negated the damage, but I think that the defending and the critical system is infinitely inferior to the first game. Okay, strikes all enemies in a row. That's a pretty good move. It's another tap one as well, so it's easy to do.
So much range.
Then he's gonna...
I'll just get out of the way.
Oh, there you go.
Comrade fallen, the extra ugly one closed in.
The Alpha Intruder. And this is going to knock me back. And from this, it's going to allow us to do the fart.
Not so hot now.
So the fart has got really good range, and it applies 2 status effects. And the gross out status effect is the one that does the most damage. In the first game, Bleed was probably the most broken status effect, because he could stack it so easily, and it did a lot of damage. In this game, Bleed isn't as good. They've really toned it down. But the gross out status... By the end of the game, we will have gross out status removing about 400 HP off enemies. And when you bear in mind, the hardest boss in the game is Morgan Freeman, and he has 10,000 life. So 400 is a lot of HP.
You were too late, because when you opened that door, you saw...
You're dead, fucking your mom.
Fuck your mom.
Yep. Very funny. Okay, so... This is where we get to actually do things. So from now, we're going to be building our social media following by getting selfies with people. And building our character sheet, so on and so forth. All the artifacts that you unlock are going to add to your might. And the higher your might, the more damage that you're able to do. And the higher certain status effects are going to be. So I'm going to go into the garden. And I'm going to go and see if anybody's here. And it looks like everybody's fucked off. Which means... I can throw farts, but I can't throw firecrackers just yet. Good to know. I believe there's a chest up here. I don't know if it's got anything good in it. I'm going to grab it just in case. Hopefully it's going to give us an early advantage, but it probably won't. We got a costume part, and we got some scrap and the ability to create another costume. So I'm going to be wearing a Jesus costume for the most, because it makes me look like a Faith Plus One member, and I can totally get behind that. And we might be able to make Cartman's mum follow us, but I don't think she's here. No, she's not. Anyway, let's go outside. Oh, here is the selfie tutorial. So if you look on the screen, do you see how above her there is a like a camera icon? That means if you go up to them, you can take a selfie with them. Every selfie that you take could be a potential follower, and that's going to add to your acclaim to get more followers and to penultimately build your social media presence. So I'm not going to mess about with making the selfie look all cool and everything. I don't give a shit. Straight up mechanics, and then when you open your phone, you go onto Coonstagram, and you're going to be able to see the selfie that you took and all the other stuff. By the end of the game, we'll probably have over 100 people following us, and we'll have or 100, you know, proper followers, and then the top bit will be maybe 2 million or something, 3 million, something along those lines. But there you go. You can press Y to check who you're following, but we don't need to do any of this. It's all going to be optional. I'm going to try and open my map, but it isn't working because I don't have it. Okay. Who's this? Someone else to follow. So I can't follow him because he's a bit bitchy. You need Captain Diabetes for that, so we can't quite get that, but the Terrence and Phillip bag is free for the taking, and unfortunately it's more clothing. We don't really need clothing. Can we do you?
Look, I only selfie with Poppy.
No. What's in here? That is locked. So that this is at the point where I would go into every house and loot it all, but I'm not going to be doing that. There you go, bitch.
I don't even want to play superheroes.
Oh, and he'll selfie with us. Oh, no, he won't? It doesn't count. What the fuck?
Sorry, I don't follow
No.
just
You need more popularity for him, then. Let's check this. So, in here, we need Scott Malkinson again, and we've got another collectible just there. Got some duct tape and some cloth. How about you?
Can you help me with this
Oh, I
thing?
want you to punch this. So if you punch this, he'll take a selfie.
Got it open. You're the real deal, little
And it's not
superhero.
worked. Come on, dickhead, stop talking. There we
A
go.
selfie? Sure, kid, let's do it.
Let's do it, kid. There we go. Postman is ours. For some reason, it reminds me of Luigi's Mansion catching the ghost. I don't know why. One of those weird
I
things.
guess you're popular enough to selfie with.
So look, now that we've got a few followers,
To selfie with.
this guy will take a follower picture with us. So we can get Matty. And then we might even be able to go back the other way and get his buddies. Because I don't think...
New kid, looks like you've reached the edge of our known universe.
Yeah, you can't go that far. It's the game's way of telling you is to stay in this area and get followers. So we can go in the houses if we need to, but I'm hoping we won't need to.
Well, I guess we have enough mutuals that we can
There we go. So we can get this guy, and then when we get the next guy, we'll level up, and I think Cartman's going to give us a quest so we can carry on with the game.
Not bad, bud.
There it was.
Followers pretty fast. Keep up the good work. I'm still having trouble reaching some of the Coon friends. You might want to see what's going on.
So now we're going to be checking on other Coon friends' house. So open your phone, and now we're going to get the map, which is awesome. You don't have to do this to open the map. You can do other things. And then if you press left bumper, shows you available missions. We've got Kyle's house, and we've got Craig. So Craig or Craig, depending on where you're from. And you can pin. You can do all the usual map stuff. I'm not going to mess with any of that. And then if you hold the left bumper, it brings the map up like that, which is what I was trying to do earlier. And we'll go back this way and see if we can get this guy.
Okay, I guess you're popular enough to selfie with.
There we go. So the more followers that we have, the more artifacts we can equip. And the artifacts are the things that are going to be giving us might. And might is incredibly useful, because it enables you to be stronger in combat and to have a whole host of extra abilities, which is obviously going to really help in a game where we do a lot of fighting. And some of the bosses in this game are really tricky too, when you're not going to be reviving in a conventional manner.
It's just so mean.
Here's Randy complaining about his car being keyed.
You know anything about them?
There we go. So he opened up this, and in here, is there anything we can do? I know we can open that. Clump of sawdust. Nah, there's nothing really there, is there? Can't take a selfie with him just yet.
You've made it to the Palace of the Clouds. That's home base to humankind.
Let's have a look.
Perhaps you can find him inside.
So there's going to be a lot of puzzles that involve doing things like this. The universal signifier of what can be interacted with is gold. If you see gold on things, it generally means you can move it, or collect it, or open it. And that is pretty much all you need to know. See how the door handle here is gold? That means you can enter, so on and so forth. Anything that is gold is ubiquitous for interact with it. And then we're going to be fighting. I think it might be Kyle's cousin, Kyle 2. But let's come through here and steal some stuff. There's a nice revive serum. In his backyard, there's a couple of things, but I'm not going to mess with that just yet. It must be said, the healing items in this game are nowhere near as strong as they were in the first game. So it's not the be-all and end-all not using the items. It's just something that's a little fun for me. Right, so there's a nice picture of Craig and Tweak. The Yowie art, if you're interested in that kind of thing. And here's Ike's bedroom. Can we follow Ike? We can! Awesome, Ike. So, now that we've got him, we can go back in and we can go and fight whoever's waiting in that room. Up there, you can crack that open. There's going to be another toilet if you want to do the toilet stuff. I'm just quickly going to try and get my inventory up a little bit for when we inevitably do some crafting. It's nice and quick and we meant to be here, so it doesn't feel like I'm going out of my way too much. If this is your first playthrough, please investigate this game, guys. It is jam-packed with references and fun moments. Up there, you can knock that down when you get the firecrackers, and that is an early artifact that I think is level 33. So it's not too bad of a boost at the beginning. We'll come back for that. Yeah, this is his cousin. This kid is hilarious, man. I always like it when this guy's involved in the TV show. He's such a hypochondriac. But I don't understand what he does, because if you complete this quest where you keep fighting Kyle, he comes like Odin. He's like a really bad Odin, where he turns up and does nothing instead of doing something awesome. And then every so often he might do something interesting. So in Final Fantasy VIII, Odin turned up and did something awesome, and then randomly he would do something that sucked, right? That's kind of how it worked. Well, Odin didn't. Gilgamesh, sorry. So Gilgamesh chooses a sword, and then if he picks the wrong sword, you're fucked, right? Interesting. Yeah, I need to combine the two. That's not a problem. So that does 14, that does 12, and it stacks more fire. There we go. But the fire is a really nice early attack for building status and damage. It'd be nice if you could hold a button to speed up through some of the combat, like you can in the Yu-Gi-Oh games. I was always a fan of that. Okay, so he just healed and then he used eye lasers. Good stuff. But he's burning, so we're all good. I don't think there's any real threat here of dying or not doing very well. And the combat at the beginning is not going to be very interesting, but it gets interesting really quickly. Because I was thinking when I first started playing that Mastermind difficulty is probably going to be like the first game where the difficulty is not very hard at all. And then I got into a fight and I got my ass kicked. And I got my ass kicked about 3 times in a row, and it suddenly felt like it was going to be real interesting. And then the rest of the game has a couple of really tricky standout fights. But if you're reviving, probably not going to have too much trouble with them. So here is the symbol that protects him. That's going to come in handy later on, because when we get Scott Malkinson, believe it or not, as uncool as Scott Malkinson is, and the fact that he has diabetes is still there, he's one of the strongest characters in the game, because not only does he do really good damage, but he also has a defensive ability for attacking. So you can do damage while stacking your own defenses, and it's really good. I just pressed X then and missed the heal. That was dumb of me. I don't know why I did that. Can we get on with this? Can we get to the end of this, please? There we go. But if you've played the first game and you come to this, the feeling of pressing A just then doesn't feel good, and the game doesn't really give you much of a signifier that you got it perfectly. In the first game, it says perfect, and it looks awesome, and it sounds awesome. Everything about it is way better. So I'd love to know whose decision it was to change it and make it less tactile and less interesting, because I don't think it feels as good. All of this stuff is better, you know, the fanfares and the artwork for when you win and stuff, all of this is a big improvement, but the feel of the combat, nowhere near as good. But there's Human Kite. Human Kite is both a healer and a ranged attacker. He can also give you some interesting buffs, so he's pretty good, I don't mind him. There is Wilziak up on the shelf. I thought he was on the moon, but I guess my South Park knowledge is not high enough. And let's continue. So Gerald is going to be at Soda Sopa, so we can't befriend him just yet. And Sheila is going to be, I believe, going through like a thrift store, some kind of bargain store. So now we want to go to Craig's house. So Craig's house is all the way at the other side of this road, so all we can do now is run to the left. If you hit these every time you come, they're going to give you pieces of scrap. It doesn't matter what the scrap is, it just matters that it's scrap. Because when you're crafting things, it's going to take scrapping as a consumable that you use. So you're going to need a lot of it if you're going to be crafting tons. You don't need a ridiculous amount, but it's always better to have as much as you can. So whenever you go past something that you can break, it will regenerate each time you're there. And you want to do that to build up a bit of a stockpile. Like that one doesn't seem to have come back, but I think that's because it involved the postman. The best ones to do are the blue bins. The blue bins always come back, so they always give you a bit of scrap. And there's the 6th graders that we're not able to fight just yet. Which I wish I could, but they'd kick my ass. Because I'm on my... There's just 2 of us. Normally, when you go into this view, it tells you what level people are. And the game recommends that you don't fight anybody who's under your might level, because it can end badly. But I ended up doing a mission 200 might lower, and it was very tricky, very, very tricky. Doable, but tough. And once again, if you were... Oh, this is introducing... This is really interesting, right? If you fart on these people, not only can you put gross out on them, but you can also daze them and get advantage. So I recommend you do this as much as you can. And now, he's going to be gross out, which means the first turn that he does, he's going to take big damage. It's a very quick poison that does incredible damage. So the strategy for my character is to stay back and cast fire. It's pretty simple. Simple and effective. That's 2 status effects on him now. So he's going to tick twice each of his turns. Here's his turn where he does whatever he's doing. Is it a swirly? There you go. This is telling me that we can defend by pressing A, which is quite obvious. We've already been doing it. And if you watch when he settles back, he's going to take 2 ticks of damage. Gross out damage for 20, and then he's going to burn for 10. So did you see how the gross out damage was twice what the other damage was? And this is going to introduce you to the trickiest part of South Park Fractured Buttholes combat. You cannot attack people that are below you or above you. You kind of attack on the same planes unless you have some kind of specific attack that lets you do something different. So right now, I can't move into a position to get to the side of this guy to attack him. It's kind of like when you play chess. You know when you move your pawns can move a certain direction, but they can only take another pawn or another piece at a certain direction, and you can't do the same way that they move, and it's kind of frustrating. A bit like that. But, at the same time, we can use that as an advantage in combat. There are also moves that go through, and there are also exotic moves that do interesting stuff. So, for instance, a good position for me now to enable Kyle to do things is for me to move down and then knock him back. So if I do this, I can hopefully get Kyle involved and we can kill this guy a bit quicker. But this is the first real introduction that where you stand on this grid is actually really important and useful. So right now we can move forward as Kyle, or we can not even move and we can hit him max range with eye lasers. This is one of the abilities that Kyle has. He's got good range. But now you see, my range isn't quite as good and I can't stand on his square. So I can't do anything this turn, which is unfortunate, but such is how the combat works, so we're going to end the turn. And he's going to come forward, he's going to burn, and then I'm going to try and get behind him if I can. We're going to hit him again with Kyle. And I might be able to get behind him, but I don't think I can, no. So instead, what does that do? Just 12? That puts more burn on him. Let's put more burn on him. And you might be wondering, can Kyle attack through me? He can indeed. Range attacks will go through you. Melee attacks will not. But here he comes with the swirly again. We've already got the armor on, so we don't have to worry about that being a problem. It's building our ultimate. Combat takes forever at this point, and it doesn't look that interesting, but trust me, folks. If you're looking at this and you're wondering whether or not you'll be interested, it gets way better, trust me. And there we go. Pretty much a tutorial, nothing too interesting. And we get some scrap. And we unlock an artifact slot, which is really, really important.
Wow, nice work, new kid. You took down a 6th grader. Keep it up.
So, we can't quite open that just yet. We can smack that. We can smack that. And then we can selfie with this guy.
You really want a selfie with me?
Yep. Give me that sweet experience, dog. Peter Mullen. And let's continue on to Craig's house. His garage is locked, so we can't immediately open it. Smack the bin, smack the snow. This is the house, right? Oh no, it's the next house. My bad.
Soon you will be approaching Super Craig's Fortress of Solitude.
No drone zone?
Checked in. I hope nothing's wrong.
Right, what's in here? So you can't interact with any of these glowing things just yet. Don't sweat it until you get the abilities. There's no point. But over here, we can pick up whatever this is. Ooh, a recipe to craft an artifact. And we just got an artifact. So, wow. You can get that this early. I don't have any glue. That's not a problem. Getting glue is really, really simple. So do you see how this says 16% status effect damage? That is exactly what we want to be moving towards. But at the moment, we don't quite have the components. But that is definitely a good idea.
Greetings, citizen.
I'm going to be using a lot of them.
That's the last place I saw him.
Can I? Oh, we're going to find his hamster, right, in the basement. So that's glue right there, but we can't pick it up, unfortunately. His father is the guy that's interested in the yaoi. So you're going to be coming back to him quite a lot when you get the collectibles. There's a burrito. That's a healing item. That is a revive serum recipe. That's pretty useful too. I'm going to go upstairs because once again, I want to try and get a little bit of a head start without going out of my way too much. So we're going to check in here. We're going to grab this. We're going to grab these. Some lip saw concealer. There we go. I don't know if there's any point in sitting on the toilets other than for achievements and for... I suppose you do get experience for shitting, but I'm going to avoid the toilets just because there's no real point. They're a funny gag that goes on a little bit too long, I think. Can I hit the tap yet? No, I can't. Hit the bin, maybe? I wonder why they took the sprint out. Because the fast travel's a fucking nightmare.
Nope. Collect more yaoi for my dad and then I'll...
Ah, there you go. If we collect more yaoi, we can take a picture with her, but not to worry. Back downstairs, back into the basement, back into the breaking of certain objects to introduce some of the puzzle solving you're going to be doing here. Oh, this might be where we get the firecrackers, actually. It is where we get the firecrackers. Awesome. So these are firecrackers. These can stun enemies, and they can also interact with the game world. So whenever you see these glowing areas, that's what the firecrackers are going to help you do. So there's a box here that we can break, and over here, that can be firecrackered normally. Or maybe the fireworks can. Maybe that's later on. Let's do this for the moment. What does that do? Something over here with a little ukulele thing. A charango. Alright, there's... Yeah, it wants you to wait for it to come over here. And now when we light the fireworks will explode, and then they'll break the breaker. I have no idea how this poor thing is still alive, but alas, it is. And then we move this. And then it goes in there. And then we fart on it, right? Can I fart on it with Y? I can. And there we go, poor guy. Never stood a chance. Nothing it could do, just like Darkside Phil. Right, can we selfie? Super Craig. So now we've got Combat Buddy Super Craig. He's very powerful, but his movement's not great. He also has a taunt that's incredibly powerful. So there's a selfie with Craig. Awesome. Good stuff. We need to get onto the high street to buy some glue so we can make that relic. It's definitely going to come in handy. You can't selfie with this guy till you get the yaoi, so there's no point in trying. He will give you some really nice rewards, though, if you pick up those collectibles. And then Cartman's going to ask us to come back, right?
Way to go out and get some followers on Instagram. I think you're ready for the next level. Head back to the Coon Lair.
The Coon Lair.